today. I know I usually don't go live on Thursday, but I'm super excited because we're going to be starting our Eat at Home Challenge again in October. So I wanted to come live and show you what I'm putting in the oven for dinner tonight. And then while we're talking cooking, I'll show you what we'll be doing. So what I'm gonna move this over. So I'm heating up this Dutch oven on like medium-high heat so that I can throw the meat in it and sear it. But before I start touching the meat, I want to chop up an onion. So this is a super, super easy recipe. In fact, it's only 3 real ingredients. You're gonna need some type of beef. So I have a London broil that is was on sale last week at Food Line. They were $2.99 a pound, so I got a bunch of them. So this is just a London broil that I have let sit out at room temperature for about 45 minutes to come up to temperature. You're gonna need an onion and whatever kind of bottle of beer you like. So this is just one that was on sale yesterday. I don't really drink a lot of beer. At Food Line yesterday, it's called Voodoo Ranger Imperial IPA. So I'm just gonna use this, an onion, beef, salt, and pepper. So we don't like a ton of onions. If you love onions, use a whole one. We don't. We really only like about a half an onion for my family. So I'm gonna set this aside for a minute. But what I'm gonna do first is I'm actually gonna sear the beef. It's like I said, it's over medium-high heat. I'm just gonna put a little bit of salt and pepper on the meat on both sides of it before I sear it. I put a little bit of olive oil in the pan, not a whole lot because I don't want to fry it, but I do want to get a really good caramelization on the outside of this meat. So hopefully you can hear it sizzling already. So I'm just gonna let that cook up for a few minutes. So while that's cooking, I have really bad eyesight and I can't read all the comments because the phone is so far away. But if you've never joined our Eat at Home Challenge before, we run it a couple times a year. This year with COVID, it's been way off because we've all been eating at home. So what it is, it's just an entire month of intentional eating at home. So there's no, oh my gosh, I don't feel like cooking, running through the drive-thru, or calling for pizza, or whatever it is that's your go-to when you don't feel like cooking. It doesn't mean there's no eating out. Or takeout. It just means that we're intentional about it. We do it when it's planned, not as a fallback. And it's helped my family really get into the habit of cooking meals at home, coming up with new recipes, not getting stuck in a rut. And a lot of people really have loved our challenges in the past. So we're going to be starting it on October the 1st. If you want to join, there's no requirements in this. There's really no pass or failure. It's just a month of trying to be intentional about it. You can text the word dinner, D-I-N-N-E-R, to the telephone number, or the number 66866, and that will sign you up. And what you'll end up getting is every day starting in October, I'll try to have it sent out in the morning. It will include a recipe that is easy to use and easy to make and frugal. And it will include tips on eating at home. And then my plan is on Thursdays to do one live cooking, whether it's meal prepping or cooking or whatever, at some point on Thursdays. I can't promise exactly what time it's going to be every day because, kids and Zoom calls. But at some point on Thursday, have it live on Facebook on the Nuance Saving Mom page. So that's my goal and my intention here. It's been fun every time we've done it. We usually run an event as well on Facebook so that you can post your dinners and your recipes. You can be like, hey, I threw these chicken thighs out. What can I make with it? And everyone can help you come up with different ideas. So it's really fun. Usually at the end of the event, we'll do some sort of prize giveaway. So look out for that, whether it's a gift card or maybe some pots and pans or something. So this is super easy, and I love this recipe. If you're just joining in, we're talking about the Eat at Home Challenge we're going to start in October. And tonight I'm cooking deer braised beef. And so it's a favorite here. Okay, that's it. So I'm just searing the outside of the meat. I don't know if you can see because the video, the way the camera is. I'm just trying to get some crunchiness on the outside of the meat, and also to sear in all the juices so that when it's done cooking, it's gonna be delicious. You can skip this step if you don't have the time. and you can throw it in the crock pot. It comes out much better in the oven if you take the time to sear it. It's going to come out 100 times better, but it's still really delicious if you don't. So London broils are sometimes kind of a cut of meat that people shy away from because they think that the only way to cook it is to like grill it or whatever and slice it within, but this is actually a really versatile piece of meat. And I'm gonna turn this up so I get some more. It's really easy to cook with if you cook it low and slow. Slow cooker, roasting in the oven for a long time, or putting it in an Instapot, it comes out really great and tender. I mean, it just literally melts off the bone. So, or not off the bone, but off your fork or whatever. So this is taking forever to cook up. I'm just going to be searing the outside of it. Just letting it cook up. So, I can't see any comments. My vision is terrible. But this is super easy. Like I said, you can skip this step and put it in the slow cooker without, but it's, if you have the time, it's so much better to sear. And these enamel pans are so amazing. I love them. They will go from stovetop to oven. In fact, this is like a one-pot meal. I'm only going to be using this and a plate to stick the meat on while I'm going to cook the onions up. So, if you missed the first part, I just kind of chopped an onion in half, and I'm just going to be taking it out and peeling it off so I have all the little pieces. We don't like onion. I just dropped these. We're not huge onion fans in my family. I will cook with them, but we don't like to really eat them, cooked or not. So in my house, when I cut an onion, I'm going to cut it into big chunks because I want to be able to pick them out. Just because of personal preference, I don't like the texture. But if you love onions, like my mom, my dad, then you could cut them smaller and you'll eat it incorporated with meat. But we like to be able to pick them out if we want to. So I'm just kind of pulling this onion apart. And the great thing is about onions is you can actually cut them up, dice them up, and freeze them. So you could do this recipe with frozen onions. It would be just as delicious. Okay, I think finally it's lighting up back up the temperature. Just trying to get some brown on this piece. Okay, slowly getting there, guys. Okay, I might be able to do this sideways. Okay, so can you see in the pan? I don't even know if you can. See in the pan, I just put the meat over to the side. Oh! And what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to put the onions. I'm going to clear up some of this brownie bit. I'm going to go ahead and throw my onions in. I hate them too. I picked them out with spaghetti sauce. Oh, I used to do that too. Thanks, Christine. Appreciate it. Okay, so while the meat's cooking up, I'm just going to caramelize these onions, and I feel like I'm going to put a tiny bit more. I don't like to eat onions, but they really do add a lot. Y'all can smell this. It already smells delicious. And it's so easy because this is all the steps to make it amazing. But if you just want delicious, just throw it in the slow cooker without searing it and all this other stuff. So I'm just going to kind of cook these onions a little bit just to release some of their flavor while the meat cooks. And let me tell you, I'm like a home mom. I'm a stay-at-home mom. And so if I can make dinners that look really pretty on the plate, anyone can. So I'm going to keep this just kind of getting brown. I'm going to let these onions cook. So the last thing you're going to need is a bottle of beer. So it's literally beef, onions, and beer. That's it. So this is the one that I had just because this is what was on sale at Big Lion yesterday when I went. That's just going to be broken. Oh, there we go. So you're just going to open the beer and you're going to pour the whole bottle in there. I have that. I think I got this at Kohl's or Macy's. I've had this can for so many years. It's well loved. You can tell by the staining on it. I cook so many things. My favorite, we might have to do a eat at home challenge on this one. The best thing that you can make in this pan is a huge pot of beef stew. I mean, just loaded with chunks of meat, loaded with carrots and onions and potatoes. And then the very last little bit is you put biscuits, like Pillsbury biscuits on the top, and let it cook for just a little bit until the biscuits are all cooked. The bottoms of the biscuits will suck up a bunch of the juice and make it almost dumpling-like. And then the rest of it is so delicious. Oh, so good. Okay, so, and again, with this meal, you could use a chuck roast, a London broil, any type of meat. If you didn't even want to use big, you could use like chunks, like stew meat. I mean, it cooks so low and slow, it's delicious. And the longer you cook it, the better it is. The last time I cooked this when we had company over, I think I cooked it for like 12 hours because we ended up not eating. They ended up coming in later than we thought. It literally melted like butter. I'm making beef stew now in the crock pot. Oh, delicious. Oh, what is the bottle? So the bottle, I have no idea what it's called, but we've had it for years. It just has this little thing in it, and you push it down, and it pops the lid off. And I'll see if I can find you a link for it. We've had it for ages because I stink at opening bottles. So, okay. So I just kind of cooked these up a little bit, not all the way, but just a little bit. I'm gonna move this meat over. Okay, so all I have in here is a chunk of meat and some sliced up onions, a tiny little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt and pepper. And then all I'm gonna do, last bit, is I'm just gonna pour the beer straight over the meat. That's it. Okay. Yes, the entire bottle. Trust, all the alcohol cooks off of it. You're not gonna taste the beer. You're gonna just have the flavors of the beer, and the meat is gonna be delicious. So, what I'm gonna do is put this in the oven about 350 degrees. I'm just moving the onions around so they're evenly distributed. 350 degrees for a minimum of 3.5 hours. The longer the better. When you take it out, you're gonna have delicious gravy, and you're going to have meat that just like falls apart. Now, about 2 hours in, check it. You wanna make sure that there's a lid on it so that nothing evaporates. And then you're going to check it, because if it has run out of liquid, if the liquid has evaporated too quickly, because it really depends on the beer and your oven. If it's reduced too much and it's starting to bit too thick or it's starting to disappear, either add some water or add some beef broth to let it finish cooking, or another bottle of beer. But I mean, it is going to be so delicious when it's done. I promise, it's so good. Okay, what are the best recipes for the crock pot? Oh, there's so many things you can make in a crock pot. You can make beef stew. You can make chicken, tons of chicken recipes. The thing about the crock pot, I love the crock pot, it's one of my best friends, is that I feel like at the end of it, everything kind of melds into a big mush. So the Instapot is one of my favorites because they cook so quickly, it doesn't have time to turn into mush like the crock pot. But you can make lasagna in the crock pot, you can make chicken, beef, pork, I mean, there's so many different things. Some of the easiest ones are beef stew. You can literally just throw the meat, chopped up potatoes, carrots, onions, all whatever. Put some beef broth. I can use the packets of beef stew seasoning. Pour that in there, mix it up, and let it cook on low all day. I love to do shredded chicken in the slow cooker. So you take chicken breasts and you put it in there with whatever seasoning. So if you want to do just plain salt and pepper, some onion, a little bit of garlic, let it slow cook all day, and then you can use the shredded chicken for anything. You could do a whole chicken in the crock pot. There's just so, I mean, it's like endless. Virtually anything you cook could be done in the crock pot. It will take a little bit of tweaking around to make it work, but at the end, almost everything can be cooked in the crock pot. Okay, so I am gonna jump off here. I'm gonna go ahead and put the lid on here and throw it in the oven so it can slow cook the rest of the day. If you missed the beginning, October 1st is starting our October 2020 Eat at Home Challenge. It's super easy. You're just going to have a month of intentionally eating out. So it means that you're not going to come home from work and be like, oh, I'm so tired, let's call for pizza. It's going to be like, oh, I'm so tired, I have a dinner that I made, you know, I can make in the Instapot in 20 minutes. Or here's something that I cooked last week that I can heat up tonight. Whatever it is. But it's just an entire month of intentionally eating at home. Okay, I make a ham in mine with pineapples and brown sugar, says Amanda talking about the crock pot. Frozen too, so tons of things you can cook from frozen, the slow cooker. Some things I wouldn't cook a whole chicken from frozen, but you could have like chicken tenderloins frozen, it should be perfectly fine. How do you cook your steaks? So sometimes I cook them in the sous vide, and then we throw them on the grill to brown them up. And sometimes we just grill them, the steaks. And you can also, the great thing about steaks is you can actually freeze them in the marinade if you grab them on sale. So like Harris Teeter and Food Line often run like a, hey Bubbles, come back here. The cat's trying to escape. They often run sales on their steaks, so you could, get ready, the dog is gonna chase the cat. There we go. The steaks, grab them on sale and marinate them, and then freeze them in either freezer bags or food saver bags until you're ready to cook them, and then they're already marinated while they're frozen. Okay, so if you missed the beginning, text the word dinner, DINNER, to 66866. That will sign you up for our Eat at Home Challenge for October 2020. It'll be starting October 1st. We'll run an entire month of intentionally eating out. The plan for this year is that on Thursdays I'll go live with some type of dinner, either dinner prep, like actually cooking it like I just did, I'm gonna put it in the oven for the rest of the day, or dinner prep where maybe I put everything together and I'm gonna throw it together last minute, whatever. But we'll do some type of dinner recipe on Thursdays. Every day, hopefully in the morning, you'll get an email with the recipe, the video, a link to the video from Thursday, a tip for eating at home, and just encouragement. We'll have a Facebook event signed up so that the entire month you can join other shoppers and cookers and recipe makers and moms and dads. Join us in the Facebook event so that you can share your dinner inspirations and maybe get ideas. So like, hey, I have chicken thighs, what would you make? And get tons of different recipe ideas. So it's just a really great way to do it as a community and maybe make some new friends while we're all stuck at home. So I hope you guys have a great day and weekend. I'll be back live again tomorrow, Friday, with the coupons that are coming Sunday. But for right now, I've got to get the lid on this baby and stick it in the oven. So you guys have a great day, okay?